Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts Radio Network. KingofPodcasts.com.
Survivor Series WarGames. It doesn't deserve an opener, but I'll play it.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Rick Cliff, and believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it, because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
This is episode 975 of the Wrestling is Real podcast, and tonight we're going to recap WWEs Survivor Series WarGames from Petco Park, San Diego, California, home of the Padres. God, this show was just, I didn't like it at all. And it felt like, as I put in the title, warmed over Thanksgiving leftovers. Look, I look at even last year's event, and I'm just saying to myself, there's so much that I felt wrong about this. And again, even last year, I felt the same way. Let's play. When they were in Canada last year, let me go ahead and just put back on what we had for last year's Survivor Series WarGames. This is going back to December 2nd, 2024. The toxic wrestling fandom. I know, I'm just using it because it honestly is toxic. That toxic wrestling fandom incorporates my fellow podcast wrestling brethren, the dirt sheet writers, and those fans that follow all this, that are well entrenched into the lore of WWE, and they just feel like, well, everything that WWE does is wonderful as long as Triple H is booking it. And because the stars they want to see that they've been fans of since NXT Black and White, since 5 years ago at Survivor Series, when the NXT group got to be a part of this, right? Full circle, 5 years, here we go. A lot of the NXT stars are here now. And then there's also the friction with CM Punk. And the fact that he's here 1 year removed from last year's Survivor Series when he was brought in. And for whatever reason, the significance of the 1 year return put everybody online, on social media, into a fever pitch, trying to say, well, this is when AEW lost it, or this is when WWE, whatever. It's like CM Punk is just this powder keg. I, of anybody else, will say on this program, I'm going to give the bold statement, and I will say it again. I wouldn't have cared if CM Punk came back. I think he has done more damage to professional wrestling in general in both companies. The cancerous shit he's done over in AEW. We saw it on the video, okay? We saw the security camera footage. And now, because he goes to WWE, right? Gets to go and do what he wants to do over there. Can't stay healthy for the life of him. And he's here just kind of like doing whatever storylines. Okay, here's the long stretched out storyline with Drew McIntyre going way too long. And then coming back to go and get Roman Reigns. Like, why is he, he's not taking a step down. There's never going to be a step down. Of course, WWE was going to keep him in main event, as are the rest of the roster that Triple H relies on. I mean, I get it, but you got an aging roster on top that has been up there for a very long time, and you haven't changed anything. But we'll get to that men's WarGames match in just a moment. We'll get into that a little bit. But first off, 45,000 in attendance. Hey, the arena, the stadium looked great tonight. Goodyear blimp overseeing. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. And then the women's WarGames match begins. Charlotte Flair and Asuka. We've seen this before. Again, a lot of stagnation. There's not much rhyme or reason as to why Charlotte Flair and Asuka are going up against each other again. We're just relying on their past history. And that's the going point of across the night here. It's always about the past history. It's not anything that Triple H, Paul Heyman, Bruce Pritchard, Road Dogg, Michael P.S. Hayes. There is no new history being created out of all these feuds here, okay? These people that are facing each other in all these matches tonight, especially in the WarGames matches, they're existing feuds. They're ongoing. And the company does nothing to heat them up. Very little. They rely on the wrestlers to do all the work. Oh, too much for us to go and pick up a pencil or pen and actually write a little something different to create a new arc in the ongoing feud between these wrestlers. No, we can't do that. No, we have to continue with the same old, and just go back to recent history. That's all we can do. And it's not the history that they created. It's the history that Vince created. Remember that. Oh, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. Well, that was one of the few things. But we're going to go back to that again. Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, we're going to go back to that again. There's a lot to say about that. But anyway, back into this Women's WarGames match, which did not need to happen. And I know other people in my podcast, Wrestling Brethren, out there that are disciples to the juvenile delusional fandom out there. They continue to go ahead and parrot, oh, they didn't need a WarGames match for the women. They haven't built anything for the Women's WarGames match. Right. And all due respect, I think when we all talk about how Triple H and WWE and TKO are always trying to get the upper hand on Tony Khan by counter-programming events, Tony Khan, believe it or not, I think maybe inadvertently did something pretty big, because with Blood and Guts, men and women's, he undercuts the hype and momentum that we have for Survivor Series WarGames. Tell me I'm wrong. I mean, look, of course, the fandom is going to defend this here, and they're bashing away at Blood and Guts. But seriously, we already saw a cage match, bloodied, everybody getting fallen apart. We didn't see any blood tonight. We saw some acrobatics, but we saw that in Blood and Guts. My point is, what are we seeing different in WarGames that would have made a difference? We don't need to worry about what's in the match, because what the match is doesn't matter if there's no storyline to build from it. You want to try to make up one that they made? Actually, that you want to try to go ahead and interpret it the way you want to interpret it as a storyline, go right ahead. Create a storyline, go right ahead. That's how it makes you feel better, okay? The juvenile delusional fandom will go ahead and continue to just create a storyline, and they will be the ones that will be the creators. They'll think this way, and they'll get disappointed when they don't get it the way they want, the way they play it out, the way they penciled it out. Because they can't rely on the creative team. If you call it creative over there in Stamford, Connecticut, you can't. So Flair and Asuka to start off. Then IYO SKY. And IYO SKY gets a big deal. By the way, only has a garbage can lid. And we realize that Rhea Ripley comes out later with the rest of the garbage can. Somebody tells me, and it looks like with the garbage cans, they were stuck together. You notice how they were stacked. They looked like Rhea Ripley was supposed to have the one silver garbage can to take to the ring with a couple of kendo sticks. But I guess something happened with the garbage cans, because they're so flimsy, of course they're props, that they could not extricate the IYO SKY painted can from the other can. I guess there was no chance for somebody to go and just like grab this end, and pull. I guess nobody thought of doing that. Or they couldn't do it. Maybe there wasn't enough time to do that. I don't know. Who decided to go ahead and wedge one into the other? I don't know about that either. But the IYO SKY lid, it felt stupid because we had to wait for that to go and come out. So she comes out with a lid. I thought it was just like some sign of hers. I don't know. But I didn't realize it was a garbage can lid. It didn't make any sense. So she's on the way down. Trash can lid shots. And Asuka and IYO SKY, they have a history. They've been playing that out. Okay. But it's all been in Japanese. And they've given a little bit of, they've done some vignettes here and there to kind of storyline up. Fine. They've done that part, right? We know the Kabuki Warriors and IYO SKY, there's been history there, and Rhea Ripley is applied to it. I get that. So they continue. Then you get Becky Lynch. Then you get Alexa Bliss. Kairi Sane. Kabuki Warriors are now together. AJ comes out. And by the way, AJ Lee, I don't think was really in there for that much. So she climbs the cage, gets in. And then, I might have seen her in there for a little bit, but she was not in there for long. Nia Jax comes out in probably the worst, most unflattering gear possible. Listen, she's a beautiful girl. I've said this many times before. And she's always worn dark colors. Now, I know there was something about some kind of tribute. That's why Charlotte came out in a certain look with a certain colors and a certain design. I don't know what that whole story was. I'm sure there was a feel-good story about some poor young child out there that, they were doing something nice for. But I'm sorry, man. The Nia Jax gear, God, flattering, not flattering. It was just out there. And I mean, you could have given her something a little bit more appealing to go and work in, because she's always worn black for all her life, or something black with something else. And you put her in white with all this other colored trim. The rainbow does not work for her. I was just completely distracted by that. The big thing that it did in here, of course, IYO SKY does the thing with the finger, with the pointing at herself. Rhea Ripley goes along with it, try to go ahead and the Rhea Ripley IYO SKY thing is for the purpose. All this is on purpose, I felt like, to get IYO SKY over bigger. By the way, Lara Vaquer, I see her, she's doing, lifting videos and all. She's in the gym working out. Meanwhile, she's not in this match. And how much time did they spend on her in the last, 9 months at the start of the year? All from the start of the Netflix era all the way to SummerSlam. Remember how much time they spent on her? Man, they just kind of just put her aside. Is she hurt? I don't know. But it's interesting that happens, because then they've gone to this storyline, and IYO SKY, well, we need to get her over more than anything else. It's like, listen, the language barrier is there, and you expect this American audience, the mainstream audience, not the juvenile delusional fandom, they're going to be all over her because they're NXT ride or die. But those fans, they already got, no matter what she does, she could do anything and they'll gaga over her, okay? But the rest of the fans in Petco Park, you want to get her over mainstream. Well, let's put a garbage over her head, like we'd seen her in WarGames do before, right? This is a repeat. So she's doing it again. But this is a painted IYO SKY can now, the one that Rhea Ripley had to carry out to the ring, and puts it over her head. Who thought this was a good idea to do this move? To put it over her, completely put herself in there, and then take a swanton over the top of the ring. Now, they all caught her, but still, that's not safe for her. Okay, you want to have her, take it and then, wrap it around and then go down on the girls down in the ring and smash? Fine. But this part, I didn't get that part at all. But they did it. And that was the big thing they wanted to put out of that match. That's what everybody's going to remember. Lash Legend, who just got engaged with Trick Williams over the weekend, on Thanksgiving weekend. That was nice. Congratulations to the couple. And Lash Legend, I don't remember much of her being a part of this match at all. And Lash Legend has been in the main roster now for a cup of coffee, so there's not much to her here, and really not much of advantage for her to go and do anything here real quick. But there we go. But again, it's the IYO SKY show. That's what this is all about. I mean, even the fact that I think with Rhea Ripley wearing that mask, that, I don't know, with that crow-looking mask, I don't know what that's supposed to be, I felt like they wanted to make sure that nobody was paying attention so much to Rhea Ripley. It's because Rhea Ripley's gimmick has been stripped down so much. It's IYO SKY. IYO SKY has to be the one that is looked at. That's the star right there that has to really be looked at the whole time. And then we see AJ Lee come back at some point, riptide by Rhea Ripley to Lynch, and then AJ Lee applies the Black Widow because AJ Lee has to get the win. But really not out there much. I felt nothing out of this, man. 50 minutes plus, and I felt like, how long was this freaking match? Give me that part, because this felt like forever. And I'm saying to myself, man, this and the other WarGames match would not necessarily be that long. Didn't have to be. But they did anyway. And the results I'm looking at right now, the timing of it, it's 41 minutes for the women's WarGames match, 40 minutes for the men's WarGames match. Also, 4 matches on the card. I mean, it's pathetic. That's all you have prepared to go for a stadium crowd of 40,000. This is the best you could do for them. You don't want to book anything else. Just this. You could at least put 2 more matches on the card. But, I mean, they made it 3 hours. They did what they wanted to do. Super long intros for everybody coming into the ring, too. All right. Then we go to Dominic Mysterio. and John Cena for the Intercontinental Championship. This match was, they did a pretty good job in all this. I just had a lot of issues when it comes to the Judgment Day interference. I knew it was going to happen anyway. Once they did the ref bump, a shitty ref bump to Chad Patton. Let's just make that clear. He was sitting there like a duck waiting, or like a turkey waiting to get hit. All right? That's all there was to it. So the bump happens, and that guy's down there forever. So then Roxanne gets her finisher in. Raquel gets her finisher in. JD and Finn Balor pummel away. And then we have to, and why we brought Liv Morgan down for the pop? I guess they had to do something on the Survivor Series. We need that pop. We need that pop. And Liv Morgan comes out. Could have brought her back, I guess, at any time, but we'd have got to put her in a big moment. So here we go. Petco Park. Pop. Pop like you juvenile delusions that you are. Go ahead and start popping away. Here we go. Liv Morgan's back. For no reason, we get the swerve thinking that she's going to help John Cena. In the, 10, 11 months, whatever it has been that she's been away for injury, because it was an earlier part of the year that she was hurt. It's been more than 6 months. I know that. At least 7 months. It was before WrestleMania. What has Dominic Mysterio done in any part of the storyline? He didn't fool with Roxanne Perez. What did he do to make us believe that she was going to go ahead and turn on him? Tell me that part. He chose Liv over Rhea. Pretty clear of that. Rhea's been like non-factor in there. And he was IC champion. He lost it. He was trying to get it back. So you would think Liv would want to help out with that. What was there at all? And the thing was, I keep thinking of what I kept hearing from Vince Russo on Legion of Raw for weeks and weeks on end. You couldn't have let Liv Morgan at least work with a sling or whatever, let her nurse her injury, keep herself outside the ring, and keep her involved in the Judgment Day, because she was the glue that made the Judgment Day relevant, or at least interesting, because of the Dom and Liv dynamic. We couldn't have kept that going. You're telling me that it wouldn't have been good to have Liv accompany Dom down to the ring while he's winning the Mega Championship or the IC title, for that matter? I don't know. But you create the idea that, because of some, you have to play a little bit with time, because she was crazy at one point. Remember that. And there's the point she was crazy that she decided to go ahead and steal Dirty Dom away from Rhea, right? So there's that crazy part of her. I guess that's there. They want to use that to make us think, well, there's something about the gimmick with her that she's changed. So we'll believe if she decides to turn, without any logical reason why to turn, because there's been nothing in the Judgment Day storyline that tells me that she would have turned. But they go along, play the whole idea that Dominic Mysterio gets slapped. He sells it. He flops. It's NBA slang. Flops. Makes John Cena think that Liv Morgan is getting help from her, but then the swerve comes back. She does the John Cena look when he turned heel, right? Gives that stare, almost like that. I don't know, what was The Rock like doing the throat slit from somewhere else and was controlling Liv Morgan? I don't know. But Liv Morgan shows a look. We see it on camera. Between the legs kick to John Cena so that Dom can hit a second frog splash and win. So, no matter what, we had the match that Dom had with El Hijo de Vikingo at AAA. They want to keep him more serious there, but on this main roster, no, they can't. He did get the win over John Cena, but very screwed over. All the plunder from Judgment Day for him to win. I hate it. I mean, for John Cena to go through all that in the first place, it was stupid. But for me, I want John Cena, if he's going to go ahead and take the loss, then take the loss and put Dominic over. And for the creative, the booking team, why don't you let Dom go over clean? Why is it so hard for them to do that? They should do that already. This is taking a step backwards. That's what they did. As for Stephanie Vaquer, which Michael Cole kept calling her Vaquer, Brother, her name is Spanish. It is Vaquer. V like a B, Vaquer. Like Baker, almost. The QU is like a K. Vaquer. That's it. And everybody else says Vaquer. Why? Because it goes with the pronunciation. Come on, buddy. I don't know. Devil's Kiss, she has to go and do it twice. Nikki Bella, she just gives the same match as always. I mean, I'll give her credit. She was okay. I mean, she didn't make any mistakes here. She followed along. Wade Barrett in commentary talk about like 3 weeks ago, she was a partner. I mean, this is Wade Barrett having to go ahead and try to retcon the storyline here. What storyline there is of what there is not. He has to try to make logic out of this. In commentary, 3 weeks ago, she was the dancing partner for Stephanie Vaquer and then turned on her when the women's world title opportunity came about. So this was put together for no reason because there's nobody else to take on Stephanie Vaquer for that women's world title. They had her win. No opponents to speak of. Nothing. A world title, you have no opponents ready for her. No contenders. Nothing. And you stretch it out to 12 minutes. But, the juvenile delusional fandom, they're happy to see her out there. So I guess 12 minutes of whoever she wants to have in the ring. Hey, let's see that devil's kiss a couple times, buddy. That's what we want to see. That's what the fandom wants to see. Oh, well, we will feed them that. They'll all be happy. There was a story about the men's WarGames match and some stuff that was being talked about with Survivor Series prior to the start of the night where there were supposed teasing returns for Edge, Steve Austin, Jinder Mahal, or anyone else whose music and Titantron videos played during the Survivor Series setup in San Diego. So there was lighting being tested and sound because someone in a nearby apartment, was live streaming the setup process. And someone in WWE decided to have some fun to see what would leak. This is from Mike Johnson at PW Insider. So we're going to let this become a viral moment. We're more concerned about trying to create a viral moment with something that production decided, we're going to go and tap into this guy and troll him or her. This was more important and took more forethought than anything else creative on this whole show tonight. That's what it was. I should make a point before we get to the men's war games is also John Cena's last time is now tournament opponent. They're going to have the semifinals on Monday Night Raw and the finals on SmackDown. I guess this is supposed to go ahead and do something for ratings, I guess, overall. Meanwhile, I don't know anybody on Netflix talking about WWE right now. They're all talking about Stranger Things Season 5. And for Stranger Things, I think WWE, if they're going to be working with Netflix like they did, they should have called on the Duffer Brothers to work with Stranger Things. That actually might have helped them out. But, one of the most important franchises that Netflix has ever made, no, we didn't do anything with them. We didn't set anything up in the marketing with them to put them on the show or anything like that. I mean, would have been a good time for it, but I guess not. I don't know. Oh, it's an ESPN thing, I guess. I don't know. Something like that. Maybe they'll be on Raw. Oh, they mentioned 46,000 at Petco Park. Biggest number to witness a Survivor Series show ever. So TKO is happy. That's going to help them give a boost right there to their shareholders in quarter 4. CM Punk starts off the night. Braun Breaker goes out with him. So they want to have a little test right there. Then we get Drew McIntyre to come in. And we're going to just rehash the CM Punk Drew McIntyre feud from before. We're going to go back into that again. And yes, it was over a bracelet. I don't care what anybody else says. They made the bracelet such an important figure of everything else of value on that particular feud, which lasted over 10 months. Make that clear. Cody Rhodes comes out next. Then Logan Paul. Then Jimmy Uso. Who almost confused with Jey Uso for whatever reason. I don't know why. Bronson Reed, who gets tired out after doing 3 tsunamis. He has to go up to the ring. Tsunami. By the way, let's use the big guys as grunts. So when Brock Lesnar comes out, let's get him to do F5s to everybody. Or we're going to go Suplex City with everybody out there. Let's do that. They're monsters. We have them do their monster move. That's what they do. The Auszilla? That sounds like something Paul Heyman made up. And by the way, I don't care how many more things you could put on here about Bronson Reed. You're not going to get him over. Okay? I don't care what else you do. The shoes, Shula Fala, all this stuff they're trying to do to make Bronson Reed important in the group. He feels as flat as Scott Norton did to the NWO. I mean it. Where it's like, okay, Bronson Reed was important to other brands anywhere else except this company. But with Scott Norton and WCW, listen, Scott Norton was big in Japan, big in other organizations. And WCW was like, yeah, he was there. But it was kind of just flat. But, it was part of the group. What can I say? So while the Vision went out themselves alone, Paul Heyman accompanies Brock Lesnar to the ring. So Suplex City, we haven't talked about Suplex City, and forever since Brock Lesnar came back, of the other million times he's come back, we hear nothing about Suplex City. They don't sell shirts for him. They don't do anything for him. He's just the grunt that's out there to got to work a couple of events, and that's what they got. Limited dates. Then Roman Reigns, let's make him like a monster. Superman punch, 3 of them, and then he gets caught into an F5 through a table. Oh, man. I'm shaking my head. This is what you did to Roman Reigns after all this time. And remember when he lost last year at WrestleMania, and I felt like his value was dwindling, eroding little by little all through last year. And then he has to be this person that has to go and bring the bloodline back together against the foes of the MFT or whatever at Survivor Series last year to put that together. And nothing more. And then what? Roman Reigns goes away, comes back once in a while, limited dates. Logan Paul gets the brass knuckles. That's something that was already kind of expected. Nothing really in there. We hear we want tables, chants, whatever. Like, again, what a bland WarGames match when nothing else is going on. And by the way, WarGames won. They had the 2 rings. You didn't really see much of the 2 rings being involved. This could have just been a steel cage match that would have made a difference. But what a waste of a WarGames match. Nothing like the ones from before. Nothing here that made me feel any excitement or interest. This was all flat, everything. And we're just going back to previous feuds. We're going to go back to Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. We're going to go back to we have CM Punk and Braun Breaker. That's a bit fresh, right? Confrontation with Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns at the end of the night. Oh, we're not going to team up again. Fine. But again, we're just going with feuds and stories we've had before. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. Playing the hits. We're going back to history. The CM Punk, Drew McIntyre thing, I guess they built up. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, yes, I built that up. We get the mystery person that climbs into the ring, curb stomp to Punk. But yes, Seth Rollins had shoulder surgery. It was not him. And from what everybody's all suspecting, and I think with what they're saying, yeah, Austin Theory, who was originally thought to be involved with the Vision, is probably the new member. Not Logan Paul. It's Austin Theory. Anyways. Because you can see when Austin Theory came through, all in the look that he had, it looked like he might have been a little bit shorter. So I could believe that would be Austin Theory. But there's no reveal of him, so we got to wait till Raw to see him. I don't think they're going to go ahead and stretch us out for too long. Then, in the most anticlimactic and ridiculous ending, Braun Breaker, I don't know, I guess by seeing the Mystery Man, he forgets, did I have my straps down or up? And he's like, okay, put them down, put them up, put them down. And then he finally puts them down vehemently. And then he runs the ring like 5 times to get enough momentum to snap CM Punk with a spear. And okay, super spear, and CM Punk is pinned. So I guess significant is Braun Breaker got the pin on CM Punk. But remember, Braun Breaker's not going after the title yet. He's not getting a title shot. You would think because of the fact that Breaker got the pin would be significant, but it's not. It's just for his team. There's nothing individual about Breaker that will benefit him after this match. He's not going to get over more as a result of this match. No. Because the focus will be on the vision about their new man. Who's this person in black? The man in black, the mystery opponent. Austin Theory. Most likely him. I don't see anybody else that they would consider to be in that spot, but they'll probably put it to him. For Austin Theory, that's great. I'm glad another young person, someone that's been around for a long time, has been worked out and tried to be used for a while. Maybe something will come from this. I don't know. Maybe Paul Heyman sees something in Austin there. I don't know. Put him under his wing. But some people, when you go ahead and look at some of the early instant feedback on this match, they're all trying to say, like, how was this whole night? BodySlam.net asking, hey, what did you think about Survivor Series 1 out of 10? 6 out of 10. Somebody says 7. Somebody says 2, 4, 8, 7, 0. You could tell who are the people that are trying to defend this show, defend what's going on here. Good for you. And, you know, I don't feel like there was anything redeeming or storyline where that really makes any difference going into the new year. Anything that makes me feel like we're going to get something really special for WrestleMania in Vegas? Oh, we've been promoting that all week. No. Nothing happened on this pay-per-view. You could have easily missed it. Nothing worthwhile happened at all. Were the matches okay? Yeah, they were. I'll give it that, but there was nothing else. Nothing else mattered on this show. Nothing mattered. I don't feel like anything results in any important storylines coming out of this. I don't think anything in terms of feuds really made a big difference out of this. I guess they'll figure something out of this afterwards. I don't know. But this was flat. Completely flat. So I don't have anything much good to say about Survivor Series. It's just what it was. But I was going into it already pretty cynical myself. As I will repeat one more time, believe it or not, when it comes to the pay-per-view or the event, like a main event pay-per-view type event, that was the most interesting to me all month. Not Survivor Series, not Full Gear, the MLW Don Gato event. Isn't that amazing? All right, we'll talk about the fall off in this coming up with the next Wrestling Israel podcast because wrestling needs us.